Welcome back to The Rhode Show. This morning in The Buzz, the new R-rated comedy Horrible Bosses introduces us to 3 employees who've just had it with their bosses. And it's no wonder that bad bosses are making the big screen, because it turns out it's a storyline that a lot of people can relate to. According to a new Office Team survey, 46% of employees say they have worked for an unreasonable manager. Of those workers, 59% stayed in their jobs and either tried to address the situation or resolved to just live with it. The study also identifies 5 common types of bad bosses, and they include the micromanager, check. Poor communicator, yes, check, I've had that. The bully, the saboteur, and the mixed bag. The movie has a star-studded cast, including Jennifer Aniston, Jason Bateman, and Jason Sudeikis, and also Rhode Island native Charlie Day, who's in the movie as well. They all say they make great bosses. Take a look.
I have hired people and I have fired people. I have fired people who worked for this movie.
Oh, let's have it.
I won't name names.
You didn't fire me.
I won't name names.
You've hired me.
I hired you.
Yeah.
I hired him.
Yeah.
And how was it? Was I a horrible boss, or I was a good boss? I juggled your schedule around like
You were
crazy.
a good boss. You really were.
I could have screamed at him.
I'm a really great boss, and I say that with confidence.
I bet she is a great boss, and she's hysterical in this movie from what I've seen in the trailers. It's cool, too, to have a Rhode Island native in the movie, and I can't wait to see him.
My husband went to high school with Charlie.
Did he really?
He did, yeah.
Wow.
They still keep in touch, and he's had a great career, really making a big name for himself in Hollywood. His parents, I think, were music teachers here in Rhode Island.
That's so pretty cool. All right, well, let's talk about the whole bad boss premise here.
Yes.
All right, first of all, show of hands, have you ever worked with a bad boss or for a bad boss? Yes. All right.
And, of course, our bosses here are amazing.
Oh, they're super.
Yes.
And we would never, ever
Prior.
say anything bad about our bosses here. We like both of them very much, and we mean that honestly.
Yeah.
So, but I can tell you a quick bad boss story. My first TV job, Burlington, Vermont. If my boss is watching, I'm sorry, but this really did happen. One night, I was a morning anchor, early morning, so you know you have to be in it. I had to be in at 1:45 in the morning.
Oh my
So the
gosh.
night before I was about to go to bed, I remember I was all excited that it was Friday the next day, and I literally went, ah! And I jumped into bed and I whacked my head on the nightstand and passed out, concussed myself on the nightstand. Had to go to the hospital
not heard this
to be
story.
checked for a concussion. Okay, I literally called my boss from the ER saying, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it in. He's like, I don't believe you. I had to put the ER doctor on the phone to tell my boss she won't be into work tomorrow. Can you believe that?
That is ridiculous.
And my boss actually had to anchor for me because I worked for one of those cheesy, like, real small market stations where there was just nobody else to do the job. So
Wow.
there you go.
All right, I had a boss
Yeah.
who posted in the break room for sale his semi-automatic handgun.
Oh my God.
Yes.
What?
It's true.
Oh.
This is a guy who would come in the morning and unload to the entire newsroom about his family problems, and he had quite a bit of it. And then finally he was like, it's not safe for me to have a gun in my house right now.
Oh,
Yes.
my God.
Yes.
So he
was
takes
crazy.
to just bring
I
it to
don't
work
know.
and give it to your coworkers.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Anybody
smart.
interested in taking it into the newsroom for a spin? That is nuts.
Right?
What about you, Michaela?
Horrible bosses? I don't know if I can use that word.
Yeah.
I've had some pretty not so great bosses. Just everything from, like you said, almost divulging too much personal information where I'm taking a step back going, I don't need to know this much about you. I've only known you for a couple months or whatever. But I've had horrible coworkers, you know, that make the work environment, because a lot of times too you don't interact with your boss as much as you do your coworkers, and I've had to deal with, you know, horrible.
Don't talk about Patrick that way, Michaela. It's
you know, he's out, so I'm having a great
But when
week.
you
But
talk with like friends on the phone, isn't that something that comes up? I mean, I think at least I feel like the news business tends to attract some interesting characters.
It does,
so I feel like when I talk to my friends in the business, there's always interesting stories about coworkers and bosses out there, and I think that's just universal, really, where we go.
Absolutely.
which is why I think this movie is going to hit home to a lot of people.
It looks hysterical, and the whole idea of it's just crazy. So, anyway, let's head over to Courtney to see what people think. I'm sure most everybody online has either had a bad boss or is now working with one. Yeah, everyone has stories because, you know, most of us have been working, I guess, for quite some time. So there's someone to pepper in there to chat about. So we'll start on the live blog. Lots of comments on Facebook. We'll get to those in a minute. And Joe says the worst type of boss is the one who decides not to fully communicate with his or her employees. There's nothing worse than a workplace that is run by miscommunications. And Tripp says the worst type of boss is the dishonest one. Everything else I can deal with, but just give it to us straight, he said. Here's the poll we're asking all of you today. This is the 5 choices. What do you think makes the worst type of boss? The micromanager, the poor communicator, the bully, the saboteur, or the mixed bag? Here's what our Facebook page looks like so far. Let's see if we can weed through these comments. Sean Furlong says, bosses that just care about you making them money, and that's it. Teresa Loth says, incompetence. She says, when others can do a better job but get paid way less than the manager. Emma Love says, bosses who think they're better than everyone else. And then William Kelly says, poor communicators, unprofessional behavior, and vulgar language. There's lots of stories on there. The comments are longer. You guys can definitely read through those if you're on Facebook right now. Vote in the poll. We'll have those results for you at the end of the show.